6, 4. Now sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in the studio of Cape Horn, Washington. So tonight, it's November 22nd, and we here in S4 want to wish you all a safe Thanksgiving, as some of you will gather with relatives and eat Thanksgiving dinner anyway. Now, with that, tonight is going to be a sensitive show, as we discuss the true story of Thanksgiving. Not necessarily what y'all get in textbooks, because, yeah, throw that shit away. So, does having a Thanksgiving meal draw in spirits? We're going to talk about that as well. So, I'm going to turn it over pretty much to Cole.
How's it going, guys? So, let's start with this. The mainstream version of the Thanksgiving story paints a picture of the courageous Christian settlers braving the perils of the New World and, with the help of some friendly natives, finding a way to make a new life for themselves. Bullshit!
Yeah, there we go.
Right. So in the days around Thanksgiving, many teachers focus in on the happy story, helping students make American Indian headdresses out of construction paper and holding Thanksgiving reenactments in their classrooms. Very few teachers realize that construction headdresses and school reenactments create a lump stereotype that Native Americans all wear the same regalia. In truth, the American Indian headdress is only reserved for the most cherished elders.
Yes.
These school activities also encourage young students to think it's okay to wear culture as a costume. Now, don't get me wrong. I myself am an American Indian. I have no problem with someone wearing it as a costume, as long as it's done respectfully.
But didn't you say earlier, before the show, that they stopped making headdresses and whatnot in schools now?
Some
correct?
of them.
It really depends on where you are in America or Canada.
Okay.
There are still a lot of places that just don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
But due to the mass media population of social media, it has become harder for them to do those type of things. Mm-hmm. But it does make it hard for students to recognize the diversity of Native American tribes and make students believe it's okay to mimic North American traditional wear without having an understanding of its spiritual significance. Because every piece of clothing that the chief wore had significance of some sort. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a person wearing a tux at their wedding. It's not something you wear every day just for fun.
You know, I would almost put it more like military. Like the difference in a commander's uniform versus...
I wouldn't go with military, considering what the next thing is
I can go get a commander's uniform.
I'm just saying with the next thing I'm going to say is that's not really the best concept. Okay. So Thanksgiving Day is a day of mourning for some Native tribes. Kayla.
Most of the Native tribes it's a day of mourning. You know, because of the atrocities and everything that happened. And even though, you know, when you state what you're stating about, you know, that William Bradford historical account, that picture that everybody clings to for Thanksgiving, is basically kind of rough. Yes, they did bring food and share their things with the settlers, but at the same time, the settlers did terrible things to them and ran them out of their area. and continue to do it.
We're gonna get to that. So, Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of
Sorry.
the genocide. No worries. Of the genocide of millions of Native people, the theft of native lands, and the relentless assault on Native culture. Participants in National Day of Mourning honor Native ancestors and the struggles of Native people to survive today. It is a day of remembrance and spiritual connection, as well as a protest of the racism and oppression which Native Americans continue to experience.
Yeah, and I also want to add, though, it is also a day of when they speak about their culture and try to train and teach other natives that have been assimilated about their heritage. So I think that's important to say.
Well, and a lot of us don't have that opportunity anymore,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So
Yeah, you're correct.
okay, so problems with the official story. Most schools teach that Thanksgiving was born when some English religious dissenters, the Pilgrims, were struggling to settle in Plymouth and were warmly received by friendly local Native Americans from the Wampanoag tribe, who taught them how to survive in the New World. To celebrate their success and to honor each other, everyone got together and threw an affectionate feast in which the Pilgrims showed their gratitude. That sounds like a lovely story. But again, bullshit.
It does. Bullshit. Yeah.
The actual origin of Thanksgiving goes way back to before the discovery of the New World. It is actually settled into a lot of pilgrim pagan religions as a day to celebrate the end of a good harvest.
Absolutely. We'll get to that next week.
100%.
Yes. So, but most celebrations, although there were many in America in the early days, some as early as 1619, celebrated in Virginia. It was a celebration of the arrival of settlers to the New World. It actually had nothing to do with the Native Americans. 1621 was the actual first one in Massachusetts, when Massachusetts colonial governor John Winthrop declared a day to give thanks for the fact that colonial soldiers had recently slaughtered over 700 members of the Pequot tribe, including women and children, in Connecticut. It's fairly well documented that the English and later Americans didn't in fact get along with their native neighbors. Actually, that's an understatement. Native Americans were driven out of their lands, hunted, and virtually exterminated by settlers during the centuries following the latter's arrival, so it's hardly surprising that the story surrounding Thanksgiving involves a bloody conflict. Out of the Pequot tribe, one man was left alive, and he was considered a guest of honor at the Thanksgiving by the English settlers. The first Thanksgiving actually happened between the Wampanoag tribe and the settlers of Massachusetts at Plymouth, and there was 86 settlers and 53 natives at the first dinner. The meal was not provided by both sides. The meal was provided by the Pequot tribe when they massacred them. Now, a lot of the things that we still do today did, in fact, come from that original meal. Although they didn't use turkeys, they used small pheasants. Of course, with the eventual idea of doing it as a family and how big our families have gotten throughout the years, that became a thing that, well, a pheasant doesn't feed a family. So, as turkeys were running rampant throughout the plains, they became the meal of choice for most families. Although many fowl animals have been used for years throughout America as the meal, traditional meal. Some families still to this day use duck.
Ooh,
So
I don't like duck.
No, it's greasy.
It's greasy.
Though it's true that initially the Plymouth settlers held rather good relations with the Wampanoag tribe, in fact they had an official alliance against the French and other rivals. Their friendship eventually eroded. Little by little, the colonists of Plymouth, though indebted to the Wampanoag, took over their land, strained the locals' way of life. If that was not enough, disease spread by the newcomers through blankets decimated the native population. After enduring much oppression and injustice, a new leader rose to power among the Wampanoag. Metacomet, son of Massasoit, knew his people had had enough and was willing to fight back. Known by the English as King Philip, the new leader ordered raids against the colonies after many of his men were executed for murdering a Punkanok interpreter. I'm saying that wrong. Punkanpoak. In 1675, the conflict led to an all-out war, and the consequences, surely enough, were catastrophic, leading to the eventual American Revolution and the decimation of the native population in America. So that's where Thanksgiving actually started. It's actually a horrible story for a lot of us. Thinking that, like, how many natives there actually were in a lot of these areas. And a lot of tribes were... That story about the one guy left, that's not a lonely story. There is a tribe in Newfoundland where they left one woman alive. But when they left her barren. They raped her until she could no longer have children.
Yeah.
So, like, there is a lot in this that I'm glad for a lot of America. The idea of Thanksgiving holds no meaning to the first traditional Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a day to celebrate with your family and be thankful for what you have. That is what I like to teach my children. In no way does the story of genocide, although it pisses me off to no end, it does no good now. No good can actually come of that story, so therefore I really don't talk to my kids about it that much. I let them learn what they learn in school, because most schools are actually starting to teach the real history. But teach your kids that Thanksgiving is about being thankful for the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basis.
Exactly.
So how do you feel about it being changed to Indigenous Peoples Day?
That's Columbus Day.
But still.
Well, okay, so they changed the name of the day. Does that change what happened with Columbus?
No.
So
No.
it does absolutely freaking nothing.
That's
the thing. Like,
that's what I wanted your thoughts on that.
we don't. In that way, should we change the name of World War II?
No.
Because will it ever change what Hitler did?
No.
But we need to know what Hitler did.
Mm-hmm.
His name needs to be attached to that forever. So does Columbus's. We can't forget about him.
True.
Because even to this day, there are still tribes out there, not American tribes, probably, but that one tribe, is somewhere in Africa, that the last time a Christian went there, he got shot at with arrows and actually got hit. And they left him to die. They can have the same kind of experience with a Columbus. Like, we need to remember our history of this stuff so that we don't forget it.
And there's that saying, history repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what not to do, you're not going to change.
Yeah.
Well, and like, history probably would repeat itself. Like, all he did was went to a different beach and said, "Look, a new world," and then waved at his neighbors down below that were from England. Like,
Yeah.
they had already been here for years.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then the Vikings to the north, like,
Yeah, they did.
come on!
Yeah, he definitely did not.
He didn't find a new
He
world.
didn't find a new word. Yeah, no.
Oh.
So, we did want to go into for a minute, and this is just for a minute, something that hits me the most on this. It's something that came of the idea of the original Thanksgiving. And that is residential schools in the countries of Canada and America. In total, over 130 residential schools operated in Canada between 1831 and 1996. In 1931, there was 80 residential schools still operating in Canada. That is the most at any one time.
So, for what exactly is a residential school?
So what would happen is, and I'm going to base this off a story I know from the northern natives in Saskatchewan. And this is from recent.
And we also know what happens here.
What would happen is social workers would come to certain like native tribal lands, and any student that was between the ages of 5 and 17 they would take. There was no warning. There was no say goodbye to your mom and dad. There was say goodbye to the people that worship the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Because the social workers weren't from the government. They were from the church. They were from Christian missionary churches. They were paid by them. They weren't paid by the government. They were removed from their homes and parents and were separated from some of their siblings as schools were segregated according to gender. In some cases, they were forbidden to speak their first language, even in letters home to their parents. The attempt to assimilate children began upon their arrival at school. Their hair was cut, in the case of the boys, and they were stripped of their traditional clothes and given new uniforms. In many cases, they were also given new names. Christian missionary staff spent a lot of time and attention on Christian practices, while at the same time they criticized or destroyed indigenous spiritual traditions, which included putting a young child at the age of 5 in a small room with 2 missionaries, telling them that their parents were the devil incarnate.
Yep.
So I have a letter here from a young man named David Kennedy describing his experience at Qu'Appelle. Qu'Appelle is an area in about middle Saskatchewan, and right now, it's actually one of our most popular military bases. That's where I served when I was a Sea Cadet, when we actually had to go serve on base. In 1886, at the age of 12 years, I was lassoed, roped, and taken to the government school at LeBret. 6 months after I enrolled, I discovered, to my chagrin, that I lost my name and an English name had been tagged on me in exchange. When you were brought here, the school interpreter later told me, for purposes of enrollment, you were asked to give your name, and when you did, the principal remarked that there were no letters in the alphabet to spell this little heathen's name, and no civilized tongue could pronounce it. We are going to civilize him, so we will give him a civilized name. And that was how you acquired this brand new white man's name. In keeping with the promise to civilize the little pagan, they went to work and cut off my braids, which incidentally, according to the Assiniboine traditional custom, was a token of mourning. The closer the relative, the closer the cut. After my haircut, I wondered in silence if my mother had died, as they had cut my hair so close to my scalp. I looked in the mirror to see what I looked like. A Halloween pumpkin stared back at me, and that did it. If this was civilization, I didn't want any part of it. I ran away from school, but was captured and brought back. I made 2 more attempts, but with no better luck. Realizing there was no escape, I resigned myself to the task of learning the 3 R's. Visualize for yourself the difficulties encountered by an Indian boy who had never seen the inside of a house, who had never lived in buffalo skin teepees in winter and summer, or who had lived in buffalo skin teepees in winter and summer, who grew up with a bow and arrow. This young man's actual name, and I'm probably going to butcher this guy's, and I am really sorry for that, Ochan Kungahe. Later known as Daniel Kennedy. So, when we talk about this Thanksgiving thing, this is why this is so important. A lot of people will say, it's over, it's in the past, get over it. 1996, guys, that means there are adults out there in the world right now who went to these schools. This is not over. Those adults don't know their own parents. They might never.
Yeah.
They literally brainwash these kids into believing that they didn't have parents. They had devils living back where they used to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that, from the federal boarding schools, and you were correct, they were forbidden to express their culture. They couldn't wear long hair. They couldn't speak any single word of Indian. But their famous motto was by Lieutenant Harry Perry Pratt. And this is what they believed. The motto was, kill the Indian in him and save the man. And that was the religious outlook at the time. They felt that, as you said, that they were a devil in a incarnate, and that they had to be saved. That's how they looked at it, and and this went on for decades and continued until, like you said, 96, and it's caused. Just imagine to be punished or beaten for speaking your own tongue or knowing anything about it. And, the missions wanted to assimilate them, Yeah. And this happened to all Indians, not only the Algonquin bands, the other bands that fall under the Shawnee, the Cherokee, all of them went through this, and it's really a sad thing.
I find it appalling that you think you're going to come to a world that you think you've discovered and think you're going to assimilate the people that are already living there.
Yeah.
People still do it today.
I know.
Yeah, well, they still do it.
Yeah, so we have Hispanics that come across the border, and they can't speak Spanish because they're in America now. No.
But it's closer than that. You got people that come from the city to out here where we live and say, okay, you got to do it this way because this is what we do it in the city. And then they get shot, of course, but hey.
Right.
Well, it's like this. Look at the, look at the heritage that is in the Irish, the Hispanic, the Italians, all those type things. They were all ridiculed when they first came to this country, but they were been able to still hold on to those values, where the Native Americans and the true Native Americans who were in this country to start off with were not allowed to do that at all, and changed. And through that period of time, even some people's grandfathers and grandmothers remember that time, and they were ashamed to even speak about their traditions to their children because of the fact of the terrible brutality and everything that they went through in this. And that's why now it's so important, and why they are celebrating the holiday as what it truly is. And some of them that do celebrate the holiday do fast most of the day and then eat the traditional food because, as we know, as time went on, turkeys were very plentiful. It was part of a native thing. They did hunt them. They hunted deer. They hunted all the different type of stuff. And they do now try to, some of the members try to continue the historical side and teach their children the historical side, which I think is a blessed thing.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Like, I'll tell you, as a young teenager who hung out in quite a few bars at the age of 18 or younger, and
Well, that was Canada. That was okay.
well, plus at the age of 14, I looked like I was 18, so that helped.
Okay.
But when it came to getting into fights in the bar, if the guy even had a hint of an Irish accent, I left him the hell alone. And I'm a big boy. And most of them were about a quarter my size. But
yeah,
you listen to the stories of what they went through, and they were still able to hold on to their culture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, screw that. I ain't getting near those guys. They're nuts.
Yeah.
That's the Celts for you.
Yeah. It's not even just what they went through here, but what they went through in the old world.
Right.
Like, it's amazing how much they have actually endured.
Yes.
And are still have such a rich culture. And, like, I do have to say, like, saying that the Native Americans do still have a very rich culture in this world. We do.
They do. They do.
But there should be a lot out there that is missing because of the genocides that happened.
Well, it was all oral culture. It wasn't written down.
It was all oral, and
that's a big problem.
When you leave no one,
right,
and not just no one, but nothing. Like anything that was written down, they destroyed
because they didn't want it out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did.
Christianity is got to take over the world. I mean, that was their whole thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Friend, now a lot of you.
And the bad thing about it is that the Indians' belief is probably more sacred and more and more traditional than what the Catholics believe in. They believe in a high spirit.
Now, as a pagan,
mm-hmm.
I always respected Native American culture because I saw them as, and not to be disrespectful, but I always saw their spirituality as a very original pagan belief system. I mean, from the creation story to Mother Earth, and a lot of them they saw the deities the same as many pagans today do.
Right, exactly.
Unless you're worshiping a certain pantheon, such as the Celtic or the Egyptian or the ancient Sumerian. But they were the original that celebrated or worshiped nature.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly. And they did everything around nature, which was one of the, they followed the moon. That's, half of the things that we have learned about, even though we've moved away from it in a lot of ways. But, the planting, even my grandparents and everything else knew about the planting of the moon cycles and everything else. And that's Indian culture. And that is what it is. You plant your underground things on a waning moon, on a waxing moon. You plant the stuff that's above ground. And it always worked out in a wonderful way. And they had, these are spiritual things to deal with Mother Earth. And yes, the Indians believed in the great Gitche Manitou or Obijuwan, whatever language that they spoke. But it is, it's an important factor, and unfortunately, shamanism today, we hear a lot about it. But how many people who are into shamanism actually know the real true story about it?
Yeah.
Shamanism is a catchword, but
And correct me if I'm wrong. I was told by a Navajo that shaman, to some tribes, is a white man's word. They're actually the medicine man.
yes, correct. It is the medicine man.
Well, and again, that's still a white man word.
Yes,
It's
medicine man
English.
is definitely
Okay.
medicine man.
Unless you're using the traditional language word, it's not the same thing. It is the closest translation.
So I asked him because we actually had a case that we were working that involved tribal land, and we wanted to contact a tribal chief in that region. I can't remember what state it was in.
Montana.
Was that the Montana case?
Yes.
And so I asked him, so I want to approach this, but I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. And he clarified. He's like, oh, no. You call them the medicine man. I'm like, okay. I
Right.
need to know.
Well, and then we, there's some cases that we had as FMP that we were able to completely take care of ourselves by just talking to the spirit.
Right.
There was the
Yeah.
one in Beavertail. Was that the city town? Alberta. In Alberta.
Okay.
And it was, I think we had Brent on the case, if I remember right. Yeah, it would have been Brent, because that was my first case that I actually saw someone going to Astral.
Okay.
And not saw. You've heard how we talk about Astral, you know what I mean.
Right.
But it was one of my first cases, and we had the family leave an offering for the spirit and put back what the kids had stolen.
Yeah, there was that, wasn't there? Yeah. But, and knowing the true story makes so much more sense that a white person should not be interacting with native spirits, because native spirits are going to be fully pissed off.
Well, yeah. Like when you're forced to live as a spirit forever because of it was a violent death.
Right.
Yes.
And other stuff.
You're kind of going to hold a grudge.
Understand?
Especially within the infinitism of time. Like, there is no time for them, really.
No.
So
No, there is none.
it's like it was 5 minutes ago, probably. Comparatively, like, kind of.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Right.
Now, a lot of our listeners are probably wondering, well, what the hell does all this have to do with the paranormal? Now, a lot of people are going to be mad at me for this. And I get that. But it's something you have to think about. We have something in Canada called the Highway of Tears. The Highway of Tears is a 725-kilometer corridor of Highway 16 between Prince George and Prince Rupert, British Columbia, Canada, which has been a location of many murders and disappearances beginning in 1970. Across Canada.
Beginning in 1970?
Beginning in. But from 1980 to now, across Canada, 16,000 Aboriginal women have gone missing.
Yep.
And that's a large number.
Now,
God, yeah.
That's huge.
part of it is the fact that throughout our governments, no one cared.
Yeah.
So none of the cases are actually open. They never were.
Mm-hmm.
They were marked as missing and never looked into.
Nope.
But of that number, if you gotta believe that if 16,000 women have gone missing in one country, there's gotta be a body somewhere. Or, not all of them are normal missing person cases.
So,
True.
It is my belief that a lot of them are, in one way, either abductions, or Canada is also home to one of the largest forests in the world, the Boreal Forest.
and it goes through the Boreal Forest.
Bigfoot does. Different
Yeah.
forms of him as well.
Is there any native land that this goes through?
Oh, hell yeah.
So, with that, could it be Skinwalker?
Yeah, that's a very good possibility too. Actually, that was one of the Canada's favorite things to do when it first, when the British forces first came through, is they would make great deals with the natives, give them thousands of acres of land, way up north, all in forest, that we literally couldn't get to. Like, you can't even walk to there. But now they're regretting it because it's all oil land now. My tribe itself, like I know a lot of the tribes in the United States, as you know, run casinos. In Canada, that doesn't happen a lot. There's not a lot of There's a lot of our rules on gambling are a lot different in Canada, and therefore a lot of this, not a lot of the tribes were able to get involved with that.
That's why they all come here.
So when the only thing our small tribe had was we had a patch of land that was treed that we allowed a company to come in and drill for oil. And that is how my tribe offers free college to their tribesmen.
Right.
So it's paid for by oil.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, but the government's got to be kicking themselves a little bit. Like, there is a lot of oil coming out of them hills.
But you know, when you're talking about the missing people, you're talking about skinwalkers. You're talking about that. Why don't you go into the case? I mean, how was a skinwalker created in the native term, or the Wendigo created?
You got that?
Can you say
So
that?
so
Okay, there's a lot. So here's the problem with that. Every tribe has a different belief.
right.
You got to think, like, the tribes are like the UN. We just don't fucking get along. Like,
Yeah, that's why they have the band. I mean, down here in the States, they have the band. You know, you got the Algonquins, which cover several tribes. The Algonquin tribe, the Shawnee band. You know, you've got all different kinds of bands, and the Cherokee are also part of that band. So you know, there's different types of things, and yes, they don't all get along, but they have their own representation. They have their own, like, mini government within those tribes, and they listen to what those tribe elders that are responsible for that to do. Correct?
yes. So, a lot of the beliefs are the fact that a skinwalker is created when a person of a tribe kills another member of the tribe.
Okay. And that actually
Family
that
member,
actually would
correct?
make sense.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a family member. If you kill another member of tribe, for a lot of tribes, that is enough.
That is your family.
And yeah, like the entire tribe is your family. So, when that happens, it's not like it didn't start out as they were anything superstitious, anything paranormal. It was the fact that they were shunned from the tribe. Therefore, they had to learn to live on their own without the support of the tribe. Now, for a lot of tribes, that's difficult, especially for a man.
And isn't the
Yeah.
skinwalker a cannibal?
No, that's a Wendigo.
And Wendigo? I
yeah.
get those two mixed up.
So, but the reason they were called skinwalkers is because the men traditionally did not use or do any of the tanning of the hides. That was not their job. So they're not great at it. They did it as children, not as adults.
Yes.
So when they did it, usually the hide was still bloody, disgusting, and usually included the head of the animal
They wore the head on their head and the skin
on their backs.
on their back.
Facts.
Yes,
So
but it
when-
wasn't properly tanned, so it continued to decay
Yes.
on them.
And they would continuously, they would stick around their tribe even though they weren't allowed within the tribe. So they were viewed on the outside as something moving through the bushes, some type of large animal, and it would change every once in a while because of what they were able to get in a hunt, whether it was a bear, a wolf, or anything. So it was a skin changer. It was something that was able to change skins. And because it's running through the trees or the bush or wherever, it was a lot of times viewed as something that was mysterious and wrong. Because they can't recognize it as a human form anymore.
Right.
That person no longer exists. It's something else.
And because they no longer exist, the tribe itself can't kill them because you can't kill something that is already dead.
No.
Yes.
And with that, these people were not that different than us today. Children still told stories that were meant to scare other children. So, there would be the story of how you ran into a skinwalker, and you fought them off with all your might. You won that battle.
Aren't there some tribes too, though, that you don't say the name Wendigo?
No.
No,
Yeah,
God.
Oh.
Oh, heck no.
By saying the
and
name,
that's because it is a bad omen.
yep. By saying
Yes,
the name,
exactly.
he will appear.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Like Beetlejuice.
Uh-huh. Just once, though. You don't say the name.
Or
right?
Voldemort.
You only say it once.
Voldemort never showed up when you
Yeah.
said it. That only
He
worked
did
for Harry.
towards the end.
Only for Harry Potter.
Candyman
Get
never
shit
shows
right.
up either. Yeah.
What about the Manitou?
So Barry, you got to remember, I'm from Canada, so a lot of our stuff.
Well, most of the Manitou were up around the central part of.
Yeah, that's Manitoba.
Yeah.
I have an
and-
issue with that. I still don't, because so here's the deal. I am from Alberta.
Yeah.
I know people who claim to be from Manitoba. I've never been there. I still don't believe that place exists.
Atlantis. It's like the
I think
Canadian-
it's just like in between Saskatchewan and Ontario, there's just this open plain of land, like no man's land, where no one goes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where no one goes. I kind of look at Manitoba the same way. But
It's
yeah,
the Canadian
Algonquin
version.
tribes and all that area.
Yeah, the Iroquois.
Ran into Michigan. That ran Michigan.
So it's the spiritual
Illinois, Wisconsin. It was a spiritual
and
deity.
fundamental life force amongst the Algonquin group, but it was akin to the Iroquois
Right.
or
And
the
it-
Haudenosaunee. I can't see
what they-
when that
well, what
is
they
from.
what they believed that everything had this spirit within it. If you cut down a tree or whatever you used, or if you took an animal, that spirit was, no matter what you formed it into, it had its own Manitou. It had its own life continuing. I mean, if you built a canoe out of a tree, it still had the Manitou of a tree, and it still had the belief system. And a lot of the greater tribal priests, if you will, were considered to delve in Manitou and were given the name of Manitou.
And
We
they're
have
all part of
Manitou
the
for-
Gitche Manitou. And
all part of the Gitche Manitou. Exactly.
Okay, so and for us, I never heard of that term. For us, it was the Great Spirit, which is what that means in Algonquin.
Exactly. It is.
Oh,
The Gitche Manitou is the Great Spirit.
Yes.
And
And like as a person who, I am learning more about my heritage since I turned 18 than I ever learned in my childhood because we did not live on the reservation. My dad is white, so and Mom wasn't allowed to have any contact with her family, so we never learned a lot as kids about what we were. Well, hell, we learned that we were from the Flying Dust Reserve when I turned 18, and we were young, dumb, and doing all kinds of drugs. Well, when you think of flying dust, right?
Yeah.
We were like, woo!
Yeah.
Proud, baby!
Yeah.
But,
God.
so we, learning as much as I have now, and taking more of an interest in all of this, I realized that even though we never learned a lot of what they teach them on the people who live on the res, a lot of the customs that my dad taught us are the same. For example, when we've always been hunters. Dad taught us to hunt from young children, and we made sure to use every part of the animal. Nothing went to waste.
Oh yeah.
The animal was completely respected. It was giving its life so you could have a life with your family.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And we're we were very, and I was brought up that way too, to totally respect that animal for what it gave to us to continue to be able to survive and to go through it in every part of the animal. Today people think about brain and all this other stuff, but no, that's what we. When I was younger, I remember all that talking about that, the liver, the heart, everything had its own thing. And I remember when I was young, the first thing that I had to do was to bite the liver and to take a hunk of that and say a prayer for the respect of that animal and giving its life for us to be able to have food. And kind of a strange thing, and it's funny.
I don't care what anyone says. That I hate that. That part sucks.
Yeah. Well,
Dad only made us do it with our first deer. That was the only one we ever had to do that with.
Yeah.
The rest of the time we were allowed to cook the meat.
Yeah. But it's just I tell people that and they're like going, "Oh, how gross is that?" But it has meaning. It's a spiritual respect for the animals and everything on this earth that was given to help us survive and to feed us all. And that's something that we've lost in those days, and that's part of the thing about being thankful. Today it's just thankful for Mom, thankful for this, and thankful for this great day in the family. But you should be thankful. Thanksgiving is every day. I was taught that Thanksgiving is every day, and you ought to be thankful for each day as you wake up and look at the sun rise, and as night falls. You should be respectful in that manner. And you're talking about and yes, so many tribes do not celebrate it, but some of the tribes have gone back to it. There's one in part of the Shawnee Nation recently started going back into recognizing their historical tribe and celebrating Thanksgiving as they did for hundreds of years. And tribal families would gather in Ohio and enjoy sharing the native celebration of Thanksgiving. And all of the, they would have a great thing. It involved the clan mothers would serve the tribal home. It would be like a tribal homecoming. And they prepared the native traditional foods of what was there and what they hunted. And other people would cook the traditional bread and cook vegetables and have squash and beans, those things that were available, and then they would always bring fruits and vegetables, nuts, all those type of things. But they would, at the same time, they would sit and they would talk about and tell the stories of their history, so that the young and the people that were there understood that, around the tribal circle and the drums. They had drums, and they would sing the songs and dance and talk about the tradition of the Eastern Woodland Indians, and that's an important part, and I am glad that they do that. And it's funny because the remnant brand of the Shawnee, need to talk, and they talked about the humble beginnings of their tribe before Tecumseh died, and what happened through modern times, and I think that's important, and I'm very glad that they do it. So,
well, and like I stated to you guys before the show, and I want to state this to our listeners, as a native. Part of Thanksgiving is also forgiveness, and I do not hold any grudges against anyone in this day and age, because you guys never did anything. You guys didn't massacre my people, and so but as well as having to remember our history, we also have to, in a way, be able to laugh at it a little bit. Before the show, Eric and Kayla asked me what was the first. Or why a turkey at the first Thanksgiving, or at Thanksgiving, and I have a better answer for that now. I gave him the real answer if it was actually a pheasant, but the actual good answer is because the eagle was faster.
Yes, and the turkey was. Even though it is a smart bird, it is known as a dumb bird. Oh, yeah. Especially the ones they're raised nowadays.
It rains, they look up, they drown.
Okay, I gotta tell you, I'm just happy it wasn't an ostrich, because I have a hard enough time cooking a turkey. I can't imagine trying to cook one of those.
Can you imagine trying to shoot it off with a shotgun?
No thanks.
Yeah, can you imagine trying to put an emo in your oven?
Right?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Man, we would have had a whole different type of oven.
Having an emu egg for breakfast or an ostrich egg for breakfast.
Well, I'm just saying the first one was in Massachusetts, and you guys are lucky it was a bird.
Yeah.
Imagine putting a whole moose in there.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Freaking Massachusetts.
At least it wasn't Florida. We got alligators.
We do have to say, kind of everything bad kind of happened in Massachusetts. They have kind of the worst history.
Isn't that where Roanoke is?
No, Roanoke.
No.
Well, there is a.
No.
Roanoke is
not
in
the
Virginia.
traditional
There is a Roanoke. Yeah, there is a Roanoke, Virginia, and I think that's the truth.
Virginia is,
Virginia.
Yeah.
That's where all the people went missing.
That's the
But
colony
that
of
is
people.
also one of the original 13 colonies as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what?
13.
That Roanoke story, though, I don't know, man. I don't think a whole. I don't know. I'm terrible.
But with the Thanksgiving dinner thing, you guys know how the first potato got in there, right?
It's got to be the Irish.
Yeah, the second year they invited the Irish.
Yeah.
The potato famine. They made their way here.
He saw the rice and he was like, "What the hell is this crap?"
Yep.
Okay, you know what? I'm cool with the potatoes. I'm cool with the corn. I'm cool with the turkey. When the hell did we decide that a yam was a good thing to eat?
We didn't.
Ugh.
That's something brought in by the CIA to brainwash people. Wow. That's why me and my brother, every year, we let Mom cook them and then we bury them.
I like yams.
Really? I hate
I always knew there
yams.
was something wrong with you.
I kind of like yams too. I mean,
I get scalded.
But I also like ramps, which were a native thing many years ago, and still ramps. They're like a wild garlic onion.
What?
Oh.
Barry, that's peyote.
Okay. So when did cranberries become the shape of a can and go?
I don't like those cranberries. I like wild cranberries. I like them.
Yeah, like regular cranberries, like cooked down regular cranberries. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. I don't like the canned crap.
Who has time for that shit?
It just goos.
Come on,
it's
guys.
like Jello.
Yeah. Huh?
It's nasty.
Who has time for that?
My uncle. My uncle goes out and picks cranberries, and yeah.
Oh, your uncle wasn't there last year. Oh, the lost colony of Roanoke was in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
The last colony?
Yep.
Wait a minute. How many?
Lost.
Oh,
not last.
I thought you said last. I was like, I only heard of one Roanoke disappearing. How many of these were there?
Anyway, with that, it's time for our first break already.
All
It
right.
is. So we will be right back after this ad.
All right.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And And welcome back to S4 as we talk about the dark side of Thanksgiving, the true story. And we pretty much covered that in the first hour. So your family was part of the Comanche, Arnold?
Yeah, we, back in time, my family had moved out from Arkansas, settled in Texas, built up a fort in the Comanche Indian Territory. And when they built this fort, I don't know what they were thinking, but they built everything on the inside except for the garden area. The garden was outside of the fort. So, yeah, and one time while they were out gardening and before they could get the fort doors closed, the Comanche Indians came down and raided the fort and took one girl with them and killed the rest. And she went to live with the Comanches, and that's where we became part of the Comanches, because later on she had a child with a Native American in the tribe, and he became Quanah Parker, Chief Quanah Parker. So,
oh, excellent.
That's where our history goes back to, and I keep trying to find more, but it's hard to say. Like you guys were talking earlier, stuff by that time wasn't written down, wasn't put out, or wasn't set aside for history type stuff. But
Right.
it goes back that far, and yeah, that's where that's my mom's side of the family. So.
And that's the downside of when you have oral histories versus written down. It gets lost over time, especially when you have the massacres and when you have libraries that are burned down. Things like that. Histories get lost.
Yes, they do.
And that's bad for the future generations that want to learn their culture.
Exactly.
So moving on to paranormal for a minute. So do you think gathering family members together for, a big meal brings in spirits of passed on relatives who miss those memories?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
In fact, we're going to hopefully next summer perform a test on that.
Are we?
Yes.
Okay. How are we going to do that?
We can't provide details on that, unfortunately.
Well, one way.
The problem is there are a few people that might not be too happy about that, so I can't provide details on it until we get everyone's approval.
Okay. Because I didn't get to learn about real history with the school I went to. So, I mean, that was back in the 80s.
Dude, I was an Indian at a Catholic school. What do you think?
Yeah, well, no, you can relate to it. I went to Christian school, and they just taught Christian history, and well, that don't work for me. So I don't know the massacre sites and all that kind of stuff. But when you're talking about genocide and a massacre, have you ever been to those sites historically, Barry?
Yeah, the tier of fear, or the Trail of Tears, runs through. There's a southern route, and there's a northern. It runs through Tennessee and Kentucky, and that's the trail that the Cherokee took. And I have done several investigations that have that, and that is around that both trails, the one in Tennessee and the one in Kentucky that runs through Kentucky. Hopkinsville is they still have a national site there, and they have powwows there every year. And yeah, we deal with that spirit a lot because of the death that happened, and they weren't buried very far above the ground. In fact, there was just a report not too long ago about a guy mowing down a hill, and he bought this piece of property, and he mowed down a hill and hit something. And when he looked back, it looked like he had pulled a skull down the hill a little ways or something like that. And as he went back to look, they buried him in very shallow graves. Mm-hmm. And there was 5 bodies that they discovered there. And as soon as that happens, that's a national historical ordeal right there, and has to be treated in that manner. But yeah, we've run that a lot, and it's funny because I have the nickname of Bear because of my large size, kind of like Cole, being 6'6" and 300 pounds. It's kind of like you go in, and I try to be. I respect the native traditions in many ways, and so when I go in and I say my name's Bear, a lot of times I will get Cherokee language saying Yona to me in my EVPs, which means bear in Cherokee. And we do a lot of times when we go to these investigations, we try to appease the spirits. We talk to them beforehand. We go outside. We offer tobacco to them with the greatest respect. We try to tell the family about what is going on, because a lot of times you may be on part of this land where this atrocities happen and these bad things happen, and you have to pay homage to them and to be able to coexist with them on that land. And that's some of the easy parts to get with, but it's getting the people to do what you are saying. A lot of people don't follow what we say, and they may have problems afterwards, but others do. And it's just one of those it's one of those ordeals. It's just like anything in paranormal. You guys know it. You've seen it. Mm-hmm. It's all about your intent. It's all about forgetting about these things and moving on through your life and learning to live with them and do it. A lot of times that's the easy stuff to deal with, instead of dealing with the darkest of all dark entities and everything else. Because, as we walk through this earth, just imagine and think about how old this land actually is. Natives were here 3,000 years, and even back farther. The indigenous
the thing with that, didn't we find out too that the Vikings were here before the natives?
Well, I don't know if they were here before the natives. I know that
it is argumentable now.
Is it?
There is an argument for it.
And that was in Canada.
Because, with the new ways that they can test different items, some of them predate the first landing of the Vikings that we know of.
Okay.
And they shouldn't be where they are.
Right.
That's the actual Vikings.
Yes, it's odd how far back, when you start looking in these caves, and we've talked several times before, all the caves and everything else, and there was ancient writings, pottery, all kinds of things found in these caves that date back 3,000 to 5,000 years ago to the Palo Indians, and so they were definitely here a long, long time. And most every place you walk on, and you just think about it, people have things happen in their home new. You don't know what was on that property beforehand or what happened there. That's why we do the research we do to find out who owned that property, where did it come from, as far as much as we can learn to be able to handle these things. The paranormal is always out there, and we have to respect the dead. I think some of that is some of the hardest part for paranormal investigators is remembering that there are several things here. We don't even know how old America is. I mean, was the first Egypt ever here? You know, so because there's actually a chance for that.
Judging from like different geographical pictures of what this land came to be after Pangea and after the last ice age.
Right.
The last ice age, even though there were humans based on findings in other parts of the world during the last ice age, there's no way there was a human here. This land was a frozen wasteland. Mm-hmm. And like including the places around the equator, like California was as well. Those places, like there was nothing here. There's no way humans survived that.
Mm-hmm.
But how many times has the planet been changed?
Exactly.
You know, we look at even before the shifting of times, and you know, I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he made a very good point about how all the continents were together until they separated, and so and he was making a pitch for Atlantis being in Antarctica. And he says, look, it was all part of one country. It broke away, and then it floated south into the colder nether regions. It was in a tropical area. It may no longer be in that way. The things that were here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and a lot of them believe that the Earth has been changed. We've gone through 6 cycles. Mm-hmm. And will we go through another cycle? We don't know that, but it's possible.
I have a new theory. Atlantis was the first Titanic. It hit an iceberg and sunk. That iceberg?
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Yes. You know.
It hit Antarctica and sunk.
Okay.
But I mean, look at how it does look, because all this landmass did separate, and it did travel. And if it was a southern part or an area that was close to the equator, or where South America is and all that stuff, where it ended up could be Antarctica. Well, we don't know.
That's true, and that's the thing. Like, according to a lot of scientists, our kids will find out because the polar ice caps will melt, and there should be a city under that ice shelf.
Right. That's if you believe in global warming and all that stuff.
Exactly. But there's got to be ways we should be able to test that now.
Yes, and correct, but unfortunately,
2 miles into the Earth, we can look through the ice shelf.
Yes, we can.
But that would raise so many questions that nobody has an answer to, so why do it?
That's why they don't allow you to. That's why,
already have.
That's why most of the places, I mean, it's like, why do we have national parks? Why do you have the Grand Canyon? And there's an area that in the Grand Canyon that is sealed off and has been sealed off for years that we are not allowed to go to. But it is still part of the national park system, but we are not allowed to go there. Is that because that's where they found in the early 1900s, 1903, 1902, when the people went rafting down there, the man and woman, I'm sorry, I don't remember their name, and they found this cave opening that had Egyptian artifacts in it. And all of a sudden...
What's the official reason? Is there one?
The official reason?
Spotted owls there.
Protective species. Yep.
The Grand Canyon.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's the same way with it's the same way with Mammoth Cave and so forth like that. There are unseen species of bats and other things else that they are very protective of. And
it's just like when they told Arnold, we're going to shut off the park. We're not going to tell you why. but
Mhm.
you gotta shut off the pump.
Right.
Oh, there's always a reason,
mean-
whether it's some kind of protected species, whether it's some kind of protected plant, whether it's unstable territory. There's always reasons that they're going to give you, whether it is or isn't. You can't prove it is.
where
or
do you
isn't,
think
so-
you're-
And this is why, like, we have this conversation probably once every 2 weeks between me, Eric, Kayla, and Izzy. This guys' constitution needs to change somewhat.
Yeah.
Because, like, our state's right in it. They cannot do that in Canada. They have to tell us the reason why they are shutting something down.
Well, even if they told us the reason why, does that mean it's the actual reason why? They could tell you that it was an unstable
True.
rock sculpture,
You know why?
and that's why you can't go down
But
there.
ours are required to use a private service to do it.
I've got it. Area 69 is in the national, the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
But this is
But I
why,
mean,
like,
it's-
we know Canada doesn't have any aliens. Other than the one running the place.
What?
Other than the one running the place.
Oh,
We're
God.
in.
You know what? Canada has just as many aliens as we have.
Absolutely.
I know this.
No, like,
It's true.
I mean, the government doesn't have any. They can't. Because you can actually walk into any government business or any government building with proper notification saying, I'm coming within 24 hours. I would like a walkthrough of this building. As a Canadian citizen, you have that right.
Okay, cool. Except for what about the ones you don't know about?
Well,
Everybody has secrets.
they tried to do that. And we knew about it within 15 days because you guys moved in 15 nukes. And we know where they are.
But that doesn't mean that you don't have them in other countries.
Okay, I'm going to try
Or
that.
under
I'm going to go to
facsimile
the
names or
Pentagon
under-
and I'm going to go to the Pentagon and tell them I'm an American citizen and a veteran. I want to look in your facility.
You don't have that right. You're not a Canadian citizen.
No, Pentagon.
Oh. So everybody say goodbye to Eric.
Yeah.
You got bail money for me?
Not that much.
There is no bail money for Guantanamo, dude.
Yeah. I'll probably know most of the guards there. Hey,
The
it's
tropical weather of Cuba.
But seriously, that's why we export things to different countries and put them under freaking like business names and different entities and stuff like that. Is because whatever rules we can't break here, we can there.
There is no rules there.
Right.
Yeah, but any time that you put it on a American facility and into another country, it's still protected by a FOIA Act here in this United States.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Because of the-
except for Pine Gap. Pine Gap doesn't apply.
Right.
Okay, so like 15 miles west of Fort Capel, there is a nuke.
Okay.
And it's your guys's.
Mm-hmm.
We all know where it is because
It's to protect you from Russia.
well, no, but there's no sign saying it's from America, except for the ones that all the local farmers put there.
Okay, I have accidentally driven onto a military base before, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life.
That's in the Atlantic
I have no
Peninsula.
idea how we got there, but all of a sudden the sign was on the other side and the fence was on the other side, and we went, "Oh no!"
Again, that's because you were in America. Like, if you drive, like, okay, so my mom used to live in Goodsoil, Saskatchewan. There was a lake that we always went to every year called Lac des Isles. It is a huge lake. This thing is big, okay?
Big lake.
Half of the lake is for recreational purposes. The other half, in the mornings, is used for bombing runs.
Boy, that's
It is our Air Force training grounds.
Why in the hell would you go swimming in a lake that's used for bombing runs in the morning?
That's- yeah.
they got three arms. And
Recreational.
Okay, so this lake is filled with northern pike.
Aren't those
If you
those
go
giant
up-
creepy fish?
No,
they-
they're fighters. They're
Are,
awesome.
are they glowing green?
No,
No.
but every morning, like throughout the night, they spread throughout the whole lake. But every morning, they rush back to the area where we're all fishing. It is perfect.
So you're grabbing a bunch of radiated fish off of the lake and eating them.
No, they're just bombing.
We don't do radiated bombs in our own lakes. We're not America.
Ah.
And now, Arnold,
Yes.
You know exactly where Kayla went too, because I believe you used to be a park ranger in that area, over the Olympic Peninsula.
Which one was it? Kayla?
What are you talking about?
Which, what's the place?
Where was the military base that you
What's the base?
found yourself in?
Oh, magazine factory. Oh man, it's over by Fort Flagler.
Fort Flagler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a base there that I accidentally got on the wrong side of the fence.
Oh,
for.
you while traveling up there, you did.
Yes.
So there's two of them. I've actually turned onto the Navy base by mistake. Yeah, and then there's the naval base, the submarine base up there. So it depends.
Yeah.
You were inside the submarine base.
I was inside
That's
of
smart.
one of them. I can't remember. It was something magazine factory.
Knowing
Just
you
a
and your
minute.
mom,
Yes.
you probably ended up inside the submarine.
You're
Trying to
you
use
went
Google.
to, the submarine base.
Yeah, it was a top secret base. No, they weren't.
Yeah.
It was scary for a second there.
That
got
reminds
out.
me, I was in Colorado and came across a Navy base, and I went up, took a picture of the naval's base sign, and I was told that I cannot take pictures
Oh no.
of that, and I was always wondering, why was there a naval base in Colorado?
What
Well,
was it?
okay, so
Naval Magazine, Indian Island.
I keep bringing up Fort Capel tonight.
Yeah.
That's in Saskatchewan, one of the most landlocked provinces you can get to,
Yeah.
and it is a Navy base.
Yeah.
But that says a lot about our Canadian Navy. So,
Canadian
Well, is
Navy
there
base
not-
in a landlocked province? Okay.
Is there not? I mean,
that's where
well,
Dad
what
said-
I've found out that there are rumors that goes deep down to a place where submarines are allowed to go under, can go from underneath its water, and they can go into the ocean from there.
Like from the locks or like a lake that leads in or
It's the underground ocean.
underground ocean?
Underground ocean. Yes.
Aren't they all underground oceans, really?
Oh, kind of.
Kind of.
They're-
Yeah.
Yeah, giant alien swimming pools. Yeah.
You got
Cesspools?
swimming pools, Kayla?
What?
You have swimming pools here?
There's a lot of swimming pools. What are you talking about?
See?
Yeah.
That's an admittance of guilt.
Right?
Oh crap! How many times do I gotta tell you?
Proof
I
that
am not.
killing-
An,
Someone's
alien.
going to be trouble at the mothership tonight.
I am not an alien.
You are.
I am so not an alien. Stop it.
Oh.
No, you have rake blood.
Something.
We're going to do an S4 show on why Kayla is an alien.
Oh my God! Stop it.
Yes.
Coming February 2021.
We had this conversation where Kayla had to tell me I had to stop calling her an alien. And I said, ask the kids. Because we have 4 children. And
Okay.
every one of them said, yes, Mom's an alien.
Yes.
Yeah, until I told my daughter, then if I'm an alien, that makes you at least 1/4 alien. And she goes, huh, maybe she's nut.
Yes.
All right, so due to the violent nature of the original Thanksgiving, do you think, and this kind of goes back,
Yeah.
but do you think that's where our first Wendigos and Skinwalkers came from?
No.
Nuh-uh.
Or were there
Those were
Wendigos-
around before
The
that.
stories of the Wendigos and
Yeah.
the Skinwalkers go way beyond the 1600s.
Okay,
They go
Yes.
from before.
Way back.
There was before there was white man.
okay. But it would make sense, due to massacres, that the angry energy, obviously, would bring out more of them.
No.
No?
I honestly think the story of the Wendigo was more of a...
The idea, you got to think, it doesn't matter what society it is, there is a certain amount of anger and hatred in every community.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yes,
there
there is a
African
negative.
tribes that the punishment for anything is they gather everyone into the center of the tribal, like their huts, and they put the person who committed the crime in the center, and everyone gives them compliments and tells them what a good person they are and everything that they do that's good. That is their punishment.
Mm-hmm.
But things still happen. It doesn't matter like how good a society works. There will always be issues. You can't help that.
Right.
We are only human. We are fallible. Therefore,
And you also have to remember that through all time, tribes did fight between other tribes.
Oh, they
Exactly.
still do today. I mean, not like they did back then, but there's still conflict in
No.
the tribes.
well, now it's more.
It's more political,
Yeah.
politicized.
Well, but okay, so if you actually take the story of the Wendigo as being one of the tribe's members at one point that turned into the Wendigo based off of cannibalism, okay? Well, maybe it's like those stories that we tell our kids, but like the moral of the story, okay? It would be a way to keep you from eating people even if you get desperate in the cold winter. I mean, if you think you're going to turn into some kind of a horrible creature, then you're obviously going to stock up better for winter so that you don't have to eat somebody.
Your question
Huh.
literally just turned to: does a native man prefer the white meat or the dark meat, dude? That is literally the most Thanksgiving question of the night.
Oh, no.
Way to go, now you killed Barry.
Right? So,
Oh my gosh.
I want to bring Sasquatch into this.
Squatchy.
We didn't need him, I promise.
This is going to come across out there.
Alright,
but
fine, we ate him.
because Sasquatch is first recognized in Native American lore, do we think they were first called on to protect Native Americans from white men?
No,
No.
No?
because that's not the first place he's mentioned.
Okay.
No, I believe they were like the Green Man, and he is here to protect the forest and nature and everything that's in it, and I think that's another reason why the tribes respected the Squatch in many ways, even though they did fear the Squatch. And you have to remember that a lot of native sites and some of the old sites around here, the Palo sites, like the Serpent Mounds and some of the other areas, they did find there are Indian mounds that are here, and they have also found giants in those mounds. So they had a very respected place in certain ways. So are those giants Bigfoot, or were they something else? So it's quite an interesting topic when you start getting into it, because that is also being kept away from us. You know, anytime that, even though, and we've talked about it before in the show, when we start talking about these giants, and they're found, try going to somewhere to find the bones or anything else. They no longer exist. They were taken and discarded. Were they buried in the ocean? What were they? Where are they? You know, you cannot find them.
So,
But you
go ahead.
you do have where some Native Americans believe there were two Sasquatches, though, one the good one and the bad one. And so the good one, they always, what I was taught and I learned while I was living on a property and with a gentleman, was that the good one always, they knew when it was around, and bad things would happen when the bad one would come around, because it brought.
And if
With
I remember right, wasn't there a very large, and I hate using the term, but like a hound of hell, or a very large
Yes.
evil dog
Yeah.
with
Yes.
the negative Bigfoot?
Correct.
Correct. Yes, and and some. I remember this story, and I don't know how I heard about it or how it was, but how Indians always used to say "how," right? This is maybe a joke, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. But they would hold up their hand when they said it at a distance, and the reason why they did that is so they could have the other person hold up their hand, so that they can count how many fingers they had on their hand. And I understand if it was a 6-fingered person, they would run away from it.
So I honestly believe that Bigfoot is a global creature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do too.
There is any difference between Bigfoot and Yeti other than the color of their skin and fur.
Right.
The first Yeti documented, meaning written down.
Santa Claus.
Nope.
No.
Second Dynasty China. From Tibet.
True.
Okay.
That is true. The Tibet.
That's the oldest thing I've ever been able to find on a Yeti.
Yes.
Now, to say that there's a Bigfoot in this area, there might have been, but would we know? There wasn't. There's no documentation from that time.
Because most of that lore is
gone.
Again, oral and.
Yeah.
But they actually wrote things down, whether it was in pottery or,
right.
However, but the first one is, and that there is a pot with a picture of a Yeti on it from the Second Dynasty sitting at the Great Wall of China.
That's kind of cool.
That's cool.
I want a Yeti pot.
Let's go get it.
A Yeti pot?
Yeti.
Right, but you also have to
Actual thing
remember.
What?
That's a Yeti pot.
Well, you have to remember that also in Tibet, there high up there's a lake that they all go to and have retreats at. But unfortunately, in that lake there are human bones all over the place, and they believe that the Yeti in Tibetan lore was put there to protect the entrance to Shangri-La. And anyone who did not have the purest of heart or the reason for looking for Shangri-La was destroyed and thrown in that lake by the Yeti.
I want to go to Shangri-La.
No, because whether that story is true or not, I don't know. But I'm not taking a freaking chance.
Nope.
I don't want to be thrown into a pit by a Yeti. Screw that. I don't know if I'm pure enough.
I'm going to go to the Great Wall of China and get the Yeti pot.
Yeti pot?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a pot to piss in, or what?
Yeti pot in the studio.
But and it's just like any race, anything. There are good and bad in all races, and I think that is something that has always been there and always will be. You can't have good without evil.
Yeah, and that kind of makes me wonder about that dog thing. What if that was just a child and it's just a misinterpretation?
Could be, but also because
a dog would still be furry, but it's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
We also know from certain things, and that Bigfoot has run with coyotes and has. They're kind of like could be his pets. He is known to protect them also, and a lot of times when you hear, I've been out in the woods and heard some pretty unusual calls, and they also mimic a coyote call. So there's different calls that a Bigfoot uses, just like the Native Americans use different calls, crows, everything.
That's gotta suck though. As thinking as a Bigfoot, that'd be walking as a young, fit guy going for a run with a bunch of elderly people. Well, you think of his stride, okay, and his speed. He's got to be fairly fast.
Uh-huh.
A lot faster than, honestly, a coyote can go. In my mind. I would think that.
Yeah, except for the fact
just
that
in
we
stride.
also didn't take into account that these are stories that are passed down from, God, for as far as we know, the beginning of time.
Time.
They're oral stories, and they're being told. How many different creatures were there at one point that we don't have anymore? There were supposedly dire wolves and things like that that would have been a huge dog in comparison to what we have today. Like,
I'm just
Right.
amazed at how much you two like the word oral.
oral.
Yeah. We said stories passed down because we weren't perverts in our native tribes. So, you white degenerates.
Okay,
What?
I'm cool with this. Oh man.
Jeez.
But I
We've
mean,
bridged
like,
another S4 first. Here we go.
Down.
Down, down, down.
Down the oral rabbit hole, really?
Oh,
that
What's up, babe?
is
You heard it first. On S4.
S4. Yes.
speaking as the only woman right now. You guys
Yeah.
have fun with that.
Izzy's sitting there writing a disclaimer right now. Don't worry about it. S4 does not condone the use of oral.
Okay. So, how about
definitely
them?
not going on terrestrial.
How about them
Concrete needs to
Seahawks?
know
I heard
these
they
things
had a
about
great
us.
game this week. Yeah. Anybody?
Huh?
How about the Seahawks? I heard they had an awesome game this week. Won and all
did.
that jazz. Yeah.
We
They
did. Yes.
did. We had a great game Thursday night.
Okay, so what about UFOs?
UFOs?
We see a trend in cases on human holidays. Do you see Thanksgiving being one of those increases?
No.
Right now in this day and age, I'm not too sure what we may see. Whether it's the 2020 jinx or whatever, but I believe that that there is an uptick on all kinds of things coming up from the ground, from the sky, from everywhere that we haven't seen. And I will tell you that we are seeing a lot more activity with the UFOs as it gets closer and closer. I mean,
But I don't think we will with Thanksgiving just because of the mandates that have been put out. Stay at home, have small Thanksgivings with immediate family.
Right.
Not as many people are going to be going outside as usual.
I'm just hoping the turkey doesn't
So
cause
we're not going to
another
have as many.
pandemic of avian
That's
flu.
going to bring down our sighting levels.
well, it depends on how many, I always rely on the great smokers out there who go outside to smoke a cigarette. And while they're out there, they are looking up and paying attention because they get bored. They're looking everywhere,
See, and I do
watching
too,
the
but
neighborhood and so forth. So
when you think of those people, the reason normally you're looking up is because you're thinking while you're having a conversation. So you're looking up while you're having a conversation at a family gathering.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, over the years, a lot of people do that.
Mhm.
But this is the first year we're not supposed to have other family members around. So if only one person in your household smokes, they're not going to be looking up this time. They're going to be looking down at their phone. Well,
Yeah.
because they're alone. There's going to be a lot more people that are alone smoking.
Yeah, but
It
not
won't be as much
only
of a
that,
social thing.
but realistically, over the past probably 15, 20 years, porches and stuff went from being huge decks on your back to being covered.
Yeah. Yeah, when we go out on our porch, we can't see crap.
Yeah.
Well, not just that. So, I mean, we had, one clear day yesterday, and then all of a sudden we're back to another week of rain. you can't really
I'm proud of you.
see much. What?
First
No
time,
snow?
yeah, you didn't say it was going to snow. That I'm
Yeah.
proud
No, it's going to snow in 2 weeks.
I'm actually surprised at an uptake in the wintertime. It seems like in the wintertime there'd be way less sightings.
It hasn't seemed to slow down. It's stayed the same constant all year long.
Yeah, it has, and we've seen some pretty unusual things. I've been sent some pictures and everything else, and I don't know if I sent you guys the picture
No, of course you did.
of the latest one. I think I got Joe on it, but yeah, I need to because I'd sure like your thoughts on it.
You probably
in
sent
fact,
other 2 deleted accounts.
Yeah.
If it says Facebook user, that's not me. That's my deleted account.
Right. Exactly. What I'll do is, as we're talking here, I'll send it to Kayla's Facebook Messenger, and then she could pass it around to everybody. So I'll go grab it and look for it so that you can see it.
Sightings. Well, I guess it like during Christmas time and the holidays and everything, there would be a few more then too, because people are out looking at lights on houses and stuff like that. So yeah.
And you know, that's what's interesting too, is a lot of people start putting up Christmas decorations back in March. Mm-hmm. Just because it was such a glum year.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, whatever you got to do to get through it, man.
Oh, absolutely. You know, in fact, Izzy and I were discussing a couple weeks ago about just go ahead and putting the tree up. And, you know, for the first time, she's got a budget set up for Christmas decorations just because it's been such a crap year that we want to kind of go out a little more with decorations than we normally do. Just because,
Right.
yeah, it's been a shit year.
Yeah, bring the spirit out and things.
I'm probably just going to throw our tree in the middle of the living room and leave it because the kids can't find the base for it, so screw it.
Hold the ceiling.
Yeah,
I'll just put the big tangle of Christmas lights right on top of it and turn
There
it
you go.
Oh no! We're gonna duct tape it to the ceiling fan and just have it.
A spinning Christmas tree.
There. Yeah. It would make putting the lights on a lot easier too. We just have to hold on to one end and let it roll.
Oh,
Are you saying I can get creative?
No.
Krampus will be very happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Krampus.
So where did that whole upside down Christmas tree thing come from? Does anybody know?
Oh God.
The upside down.
Oh, God. I know where the pickle comes from. I know, like.
It probably came from Iraq.
This is a family-friendly show,
Aboard
Caleb.
soldier.
What about the Steinfeld Christmas celebration? What was that called?
The
Seinfeld?
Oh! What is that?
Yeah, I can't remember it. Son of a gun.
Steinfeld. I don't know. I don't know. There's so many different religions and so many different cultures and so many different things that happen around this time of year that I get kind of lost in them sometimes.
Festivus.
Festivus.
A holiday for the rest of us.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Festivus for the rest of us. Oh yeah.
Yes. I love the poll, the festive poll. That was the thing.
So you had UFOs. What was your next one?
We got UFOs.
Okay.
Let's go.
Cursed land.
Oh God.
What makes cursed land? Do you think some of the massacred sites are cursed?
Absolutely
Be
not.
massacred? No?
Not in native history, like not in native view. That is not cursed land. That is sacred land now.
Yeah.
Sacred,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
You would not
Sacred land
consider-
has to do with the area of the burials, and all of that is more considered sacred and areas that you do not disturb because of.
Well, but okay,
It's a resting
so we
place.
have Fort Battleford. So we in Saskatchewan we have North Battleford and Battleford. They're two towns, and it was a battle between the French and the English, but both sides used Indians as the front line. That area is not to be disturbed because it is where they fell, and they couldn't be picked up. There was no burial site. That was it, and it's because they were the first line. The battle was fought on top of the bodies afterwards. So when the English and the French actually went to war there, they were standing on the bodies of the natives.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that happened a lot in a lot of areas. Like when you think of different areas where there was a native massacre, that is their burial ground. So to call it cursed ground, that really has nothing to do where someone was massacred.
Okay.
Usually, with a lot of tribes, it was somewhere where nothing would grow.
That's a UFO
Yeah.
landing
Where
site.
animals wouldn't come
Yeah.
to.
That's a UFO landing site.
And that's a possibility. Well, no, because they would call that, like, it depends on the history of the tribe and their view of the sky people. UFO landing sites for them were sacred.
Yes, that's true.
So, but
Yeah,
usually
there's
it
so
was
much-
something to do with a chemical imbalance within the area.
Right. pH
Yeah.
levels and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like our backyard is cursed land.
Yeah,
Right.
shit. Can't
Hey,
even
Kayla,
grow
I
a
did
root.
send you. I did send you that picture, and just to talk about this UFO picture just for a second. You may find it interesting that it is also close to a chemtrail because we were talking about chemtrails and UFOs at one point, and I found that pretty interesting because it happened after we read the discussion, and I looked at it and went, "Wow."
So maybe that's what chemtrails are.
I'm about to say maybe that's making the chemtrail.
Well, no, like the lights on a runway.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's alien runways. Because there's usually two of them.
There's some theories out there. So the government creates chemtrails. We know that.
But there is two in this picture as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is a slightly lesser one just off to the other side. And
Yeah.
he's hugging the one pretty good. Bad alien driver.
But
There's some.
there's some theories that aliens create chemtrails to neutralize what the government's spraying.
True, exactly. Or they're there to neutralize what has been sprayed. And then others is like the chemtrails is, if you've ever seen the checkerboard, it almost looks like a mapping area where a satellite can be able to pick up certain things in that area.
See,
But I've seen planes make chemtrails, so how is that?
Oh, yeah.
How is that an alien?
But
Yeah.
That's where that one kind of falls apart for me. Just because I've seen.
so chemtrails stick around. Contrails
They
are dumped
dissipate.
fuel and they dissipate.
Dissipate. Right.
That's fuel.
These
Exactly.
ones didn't, though.
No, that was a chemtrail.
well, you
Yeah,
know, they
that's-
say that there's somebody. I can't remember where I read about this, but it said that the chemtrails are to close up the rips in whatever from the ships coming into the atmosphere.
Mhm.
It's like a
They're ripping the ozone layer, those bastards.
yeah. It would be like putting a Band-Aid over top of a wound.
Then why aren't they fixing the one over?
That's I don't know, man.
California?
That was just more curious.
Do we really not care about California that much? Sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you know what I mean. Like, if that were true again, why
Yeah.
wouldn't they fix the ones that they can?
I don't know.
I don't know. Do you remember this, Barry? So in the 70s, I remember as a kid being told by I can't remember if it was the EPA, but it was in the news that if you go out and you spray a spray can, it's making holes in the ozone layer.
Yeah, that's the reason why we couldn't use underarm deodorants and everything
Yeah.
else. It's what we
Yeah.
all went to.
As a kid, I was being told,
Yeah.
oh, Yeah, no, you can't go outside and use an
Aerosol
can
cans. Aerosol cans.
That
Terrible.
rumor never left either, because I remember that
No.
rumor in the 80s.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was the 70s.
And I went like
It's
sprayed
hung
outside.
around for a
bunch
long
of
time.
them.
Yeah, I mean, it hung around for a long time, and
I found it so amazing.
You
Cause
know-
a kid going,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
nothing happened.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
But you know,
like
that's part of that odd conspiracy theory that many people don't buy, and it's even like chemtrails. No matter what we do, and no matter how you try to look at it and what you look at it, there's always the component against it, and I think it's actually contrived. After watching this Netflix thing on social dilemma, and if anyone hasn't watched it yet, if you really want to see what is going on and how the big push on the internet and everything else has been rigged to control you, it's really something, because you're looking at people that are doing it, and they actually talk about putting things out that are disinformation and then only sharing certain things with people that believe in conspiracy theories and other things that people
that's just
don't.
QAnon.
Yeah, well,
Oh, jeez. Okay.
well, it's kind of odd, because this is all ex people, and they're all talking about, did we do right or did we do wrong, and it's kind of scary stuff when you look at it. So
Well, yeah, no, you know what? What's scary is the people that believe it.
So speaking of Netflix, though, I got to tell you guys a story from this week.
Oh,
So
don't.
we started rewatching Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, God.
We live in Seattle. It's a Seattle-based show. I like shows like that where I get to see stuff that I have seen in person.
yeah,
So, but in the first couple seasons, and our kids have joined us throughout this, watching it every once in a while with us. Our son John has actually quite gotten into it because he likes the idea of doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And he got quite attached to a few of the characters, one being the young George O'Malley. And spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I made him watch the last episode with George in it, and it's where George O'Malley decides being a regular doctor in America isn't for him, and a trauma doctor from the U.S. Army just joined their crew.
Right.
right.
George decides that morning he's signing up for the Army. So he tells everyone at the hospital.
That's John.
They all freak out, and he goes home to tell his mom. But everyone else thinks he's in a surgery. A trauma patient comes in, and they call him a John Doe because he got hit by a bus while pushing a girl out of the way, and you can't recognize it. And it is George. You don't find it out till the very end of the episode, though. And because the entire time he had screwed up when he first started his residence or his internship, and they called him 007, License to Kill.
Kill.
Because, he almost killed a patient.
Yeah.
And so he wrote on one of his friend's hands 007 to identify himself right before he died. And I have never seen a 12-year-old boy walk away from a show so fast because he was so mad.
Ah,
Yeah.
He was snuggled up on the on one of the chairs with his pillow and his blanket. He throws his pillow across the thing and goes, "I hate shows!" and just stormed out. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my entertaining thing for the week.
So let's talk about Faye for a second. We have a couple
Yep.
more minutes.
Very.
So, we have brownies.
Mm-hmm.
So within the Fae lore, brownies are known as the home and hearth Fae. Do you think they recognize the Wheel of the Year as established by this is the big day of feasting. So you can see it in our pets' eyes. You know, think of yourself in the mind of a cat or a dog. They hear these big booms. Oh my God, it's that 4th of July thing. You know, and then as the season goes on, oh, there's turkey. It must be Thanksgiving. And then, of course, I see the bright lights. No, it's Christmas time. There's a tree in the house. I go piss on the tree now. So thinking.
Okay, when you're feeding. Okay, let's say you have a fairy garden in your yard.
Mm-hmm.
When you're feeding them, would you agree that part of it is intent?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Therefore, they're not just eating the food, but they're eating the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Think of how much, like, even though the holidays can be filled with so much negative energy, the meals themselves, when you actually sit down for that meal with your family, for a lot of the world, all of that negative energy just flows away.
Right.
And that entire table is filled with an energy of love, thankfulness, and joy.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way they don't feed off that. They have to. It's pure.
Well, they don't see the negativity of Black Friday and you know,
Well,
all
they
the
probably do.
They do when you get home and you're all pissed off. But I do think some Fae.
There's got to be that one that travels to like Best Buy and is like, "What's everybody standing here for?"
but I do think if you have Fae energy in your home, they do help neutralize your negativity into positivity.
Well, they're doing a shit job here then.
Oh yeah.
Great, giving away all my secrets.
I think they got to feed off of it. I think this, if they feed on it, they have to recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know that it's coming. Because it happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
Without fail.
Well, that's what I mean. Do you think they see the wheel of the year based on what humans do?
Well, I think they would have to, especially if it's a brownie.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, not only is a brownie like an outside creature, but they're inside their home and...
Home and hearth.
Yes. So they would have to recognize the changing of the seasons and the different things that you do with your house and everything around that time. Just like I would assume that a big one for them would be like spring cleaning and different things like that. Like they would understand that you're moving things and that you're resituating your household to fit different
but with
things.
that, not just spring cleaning, you're out there, you're tilling up the soil. You're getting ready to plant. And that is when they thrive the most.
Right.
And then all the other fairies come in to help with the
And
plant.
with them, they're intelligent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're at, if not past, human intelligence. So, I mean, they would have to see what this is all different and this is bringing this. Not only that, but with brownies, they eat from the home.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be eating
your
turkey and your different things like that, just like you would be. All your leftovers, whatever's in there.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, cool. It's that turkey day. That means I get to be a fat, brownie today. Right?
And with that, it's time for our last break. So when we come back, we will talk about more Dark of the Thanksgiving.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Break. You're going down.
Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4. And yeah.
For those not in the studio, that was an entertaining break.
So, what do you see in the picture?
Oh, of the UFO that Barry sent?
Yeah. So
okay, so here's the thing. When you zoom it in on the what I would call the back of the craft, because it almost you can't really tell, but it looks like it's flying away from you, and that might just be biased thought because of all the science fiction films that we've seen so far. Mm-hmm. But it does look like some type of ionic engine in the back, with bluish to greenish to reddish light, with a metallic body in the front, and what I am thinking of is a disc.
Yeah.
But not the traditional disc like the saucer, because the saucer would have those lights all the way around, not just on one side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I'm picturing is because I use pop culture to wrap my mind around things, is either the Millennium Falcon or the USS Defiant off of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. Where the engine is in the back of the craft.
Right.
What do you guys think of that theory with that picture of whether it's a disc or not?
It looks more like a tear to me. I know that sounds really weird. Well, if you look at the colors of it, okay, so it's got like a greenish and then a bluish, and then it goes down to almost a sky colored to it. It looks like a rip. It doesn't honestly look like a ship to me. Actually, now that I'm like zoomed into it and everything.
Barry, do you mind if I share that photo?
Oh no, go
To
ahead.
the S4 group.
Oh sure,
And
go
actually,
ahead. Go ahead.
From what you were saying, you said that the woman that had taken this picture had seen it basically in the same space, and then it had disappeared, right?
It just disappeared. It just was gone, like it was transported through a portal or a hole or a wormhole, or was it cloaked to appear that way? But she saw it, and then it just was gone. It went just poof.
So if it hadn't
So
moved
yes, your
the-
theory. So your theory is correct, and I guess I need to send the picture of through the truck door with it also, because of the fact that the way it appears here is different than that. And this is not through the window. She did have enough sense to roll the window down and take the picture. She was getting out of the truck. It was the first picture, and this is the last picture after she got out of the truck to look at it. So I'll send you that one, and you can.
Okay, because like as far as it looks from here, it's like not moving. It's not going anywhere. It has no propulsion or anything. It looks more like it's just a tear in space time. Like an opening of a portal, you know?
Yeah, let me get you that picture. Okay, just send it.
Okay, and sharing. Sent. Alright, let's zoom in on this guy. Okay, that looks totally different from that view.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, looks like an orb.
Yes, looking at it that way, it does. But then, when she got out of the truck, it appeared as the other object. So it is
I can't zoom on it.
Shifter.
definitely different.
It's a shifter. It shifts.
Right.
But then again,
It's shapeshift.
and again, that might be like if it is an ionic drive engine, which that is just a theory because that does not exist yet in human history. But if that's what the type of engine that it is, or something like that, it would have that burst of light when they hit the throttle.
It's a little engine that could.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like it's impulse engines.
Impulse.
Yes. So an impulse engine would have that pulse when they hit it.
Yeah,
And
which
it would
is
just glow.
yeah, which could possibly be it. I just find it fascinating and a great capture. But we're seeing. I've been seeing quite a lot of videos lately coming in from people that don't want to report it, but also want to be able to say, yes, this is happening in my area.
Right. See, for me, it honestly, I don't see a ship there. In either of them, I see energy and an energy charge, but I do not see an actual shape of a ship. What?
You notice how the alien is trying to deny the existence of a ship.
Yes.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
It's one of her classified ships. So
Yeah.
you're not supposed to see it.
Yeah, right. We're not supposed to be looking at it. Yes.
No,
Yep. Nope. It doesn't exist, guys.
Yes. No. This does not exist.
absolutely not.
I don't know. I try to stay out of the alien business. I don't really do much in the alien field or the UFO field or any of that. I prefer like science and ghosties and that kind of stuff.
Well, there's a lot of science behind the ghosts, and possibly that some of the ghosts that we are seeing and are communicating with may actually be an alien in that alien form that is using that as a way to radiation and all that other stuff comes with paranormal. And that's why people have paranormal hangovers. Are we being radiated? And the people who do it a lot may find more and more things going on with them from this, because we don't know what these orbs are. We see orbs in the house. We see orbs in the sky. We see orbs a lot of different places. So it opens fact into the scientific realm of exactly what we are dealing with.
Right.
Even though I do believe that there are spirits, and just like you were talking about with family members coming back to celebrate with their family or to watch the family disturbance that happens to cool that off when you get everybody together. And let's not forget that. Let's be respectful this year when we're all around the table, because there are different family differences and different families' beliefs, and let's be kind to all and have an open mind during it all, because we all see and we all know what kind of arguments can happen over what's happened so far in 2020 with the COVID, with everything else, and with the presidency, with the elections process. So,
Ryan, people are hateful right now.
yes, they are.
There is a huge divide in a lot of different things, and it is ripping people apart that have been together forever. Like,
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's the reason why actually they've decided to say here in Kentucky you can only have one household of 4 people and another household up to 4 people. You cannot have more than 8 people in your house. And that's kind of weird, isn't it?
it's definitely going to be a different year. We have a lot of rules on that this year too.
Yeah, and it's really strange how they put those restrictions together, because they put them together during the period of time from here in Kentucky. They started Friday evening at 5 o'clock, and they go till December 13th until midnight.
Here's December 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, isn't that weird?
between the politics, between COVID, even the paranormal community has completely divided. Why can't you just stick to paranormal? Leave the politics out. Granted, you can't go, because of a pandemic, you can't go explore a haunted location. I get that. But, even before COVID hit, you saw more anger and more fighting between paranormal investigators and paranormal teams and over politics.
Well, everybody seems to have their opinion on everything now. Mm-hmm. Okay, whether it's educated or not. Okay, and there's a lot of people that will take what specific sources say as the end-all of truth. And if you have one person that only takes this source, and you have another person that only takes this source,
right,
and they're so opposing from one another, and you believe with everything that you have that this is the source that is correct, you end up with a lot of different fighting over a lot of things that would have never been a problem before, because before it would have been both-sided. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You would have gotten the same amount of information on, like, Republicans and Democrats.
Right.
You wouldn't have gotten one source telling you way more about one side than the other.
But there used to be a time where you could actually discuss your differences and not get angry and, unfriend or block or, you got in more serious fights over opinions than it used to be just calmly discussing your differences.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that, Barry?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And it's something to think about it.
I think with that we've been told before, we were told to go with an open mind. We were told that every opinion has its sides. We were taught how to properly debate things. Mm-hmm. Okay, in school, in anything, we were taught differently. And now it's very much so your opinions, your thoughts on this, and how they relate to you. And
but we're talking in the last 2 years.
Oh, most definitely.
I mean,
most definitely.
Is there a malevolent energy that's been released from something or somewhere that has just completely made humans crazier than normal?
Yes, it's called Facebook.
I know.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's easier to fight now. No, because before you'd have to pick up a phone and you'd have to actually call somebody. Mm-hmm. Or you'd have to go face to face with them and talk to them about it. And actually see in their emotions and be able to tell what they meant by something.
Yeah.
Well, now you throw it down on a little text message and you send it out. And the problem with that is there's a lot of people that don't punctuate. There's a lot of people that will write something where if they were saying it to you, you could see the sarcasm in it.
Right.
Or you could see that they're questioning it. But they don't put the punctuation in there. So now it's you're telling me this versus you're asking me for my opinion on this. Or this isn't a joke. I thought you were serious when you said. So it's a lot of miscommunication too.
Patience.
Because people aren't understanding the intent behind it. They aren't understanding if you're being sarcastic, or if you're joking, or if you're actually seriously, this is what you think.
Yeah. You got quiet over there.
I handling something else quick. Deleting people out of a group.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens. Oh, great, you deleted me.
Well, Eric said anyone who brought politics into it. We run a local group here in Concrete, and we do not allow politics in the group. That includes the mention of any politician's name in defense of another politician.
Really?
Yeah, on that post.
We had another one?
Oh, God, people are smart. SMRT. Okay.
So, what's your thoughts, Arnold?
On what?
On
On
Which
life
part?
and everything.
Well, on the state of humans.
That's a long question. You notice how
It's a loaded question.
You know what?
You got that one,
42.
So let me ask y'all, and this is going to be a whole other show, but I want to ask y'all's opinion. We're coming to the end of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is all this hatred's going to carry on into 2021? Do you think there's going to be an even keel? How many years do you think it's going to be before we either implode or
we have 2.5 months left.
Yeah, I'm still curious.
I think it's going to start, like people have said, 2021 is going to say to 2020, hold my beer type thing.
Yeah.
Just due to the fact of what's going on in the world already. But I don't think the worst is over yet.
Oh, no, I'm with you on that.
I think we're going to go through some rough times the first part of the year. Somewhere along the line, it's got to level out, hopefully.
Or implode.
Yes.
Well, I think the build-up's been happening since the dawn of time, and the more people that you add to the mix, the worse it's going to get. When you have more opposing opinions and more opposing thoughts, it's just going to get worse and worse. There is no getting better. I don't think it will ever get better as far as hatred and humanity.
Well,
Sorry,
kinda-
that's messed up.
you know.
I know, but I don't see it.
Well, shall we all drink the Kool-Aid now since it's already so fucking depressing in here?
right.
No,
Exactly.
to me, it's not
Exactly.
depressing. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, and you know that when you look at it, and I don't know what you guys see or what it says, but this is what I've noticed in the last week. It seems like there is people that are just in total shock and awe. They're just in, whether it's the energy, whatever it is, they are just all sitting and waiting because everything bad has happened, all the stuff that has gone on, and now it is a matter of where do we turn? What truth is there? What is the real truth? What is the stuff? And I think people are thinking about a lot of that. And then when it gets to the point, no matter what happens, there's going to be people that are going to be disgusted or whatever, but that's not the part that we need to work at. We need to bring people together and understand that if there isn't a problem with, is there a true problem with this virus? Is there a true problem with these things? And why would someone do that to us? And why would they want to do that and control it? The election problems. We need to fix that. No matter what happens, it needs to be brought out, and we all need to deal with it, and we need to fix it so that we do have a democracy, if you will, of some sort that is trusted. So when we go to vote, we know that it is pure and it's by the people. The people, I think, need to take back some of the things that they have given away.
I think the people were lost 100 years ago.
Yes, yes. And it's time that the people start to realize that there are things that we need to get together with and fight on to change those things so that it doesn't happen like this again. If we do not, we are doomed to go down a chute of civil war and disobedience.
Okay, so if you take any natural disaster into consideration, any natural disaster, in the very beginning of the natural disaster, there's a time of coming together where everybody is, oh my God, is everybody okay? Is everybody that is that time where everybody comes together and they go for one united thing.
Well, Reagan said it. Reagan said it in his speech to the UN. It would take an outside force to make the globe come together.
Yeah, but the
Yes,
problem
but
is
that-
that
okay.
outside force that he was talking about
It's
wants
sitting right
nothing
here.
to freaking do with us.
Okay, but see,
They're
that,
like, no, those
Yeah.
things are crazy. We're
that's-
staying out.
that's the problem, though. Is so after you have this time of coming together, then you have a time of separating.
Yeah.
Where everything is wrong. This person's doing this wrong. I wouldn't do it this way. You should do it this way. There's always going to be that time of divide. And then there's a time of surviving that comes after that. Where it doesn't matter if this person was right or wrong. We just need to survive. And I think we've already gone through the first stage of us coming together and saying, okay, we need to fight this. We need to do this. We need to figure this out. And we've gotten into the period of divide where we're kind of, this person should do it this way, this person should do it that way.
No.
Eventually, we'll get into the period
We
of
never.
survival.
No, this country never came to the point of we need to come together.
Next is Donner Party.
No, yeah,
This
it's
country
it's
never
never.
came to the we got to come together. No, there was division completely from the beginning,
So
and
when,
then
do,
the toilet
Right.
paper went away.
when do we start eating people?
Yeah, and
And the toilet paper went
and
away
I think
again. I mean,
right. And it's hilarious when you look at it in a certain way because of the fact that have we not been socially duped? Are there certain things that they trigger to cause people to think of and not forgive and forget? I mean, the biggest thing that I think that we need to get to more often is to get to that forgiveness part and look at it. You know, even though Cole is upset about the situation, he has forgiveness for the people who had nothing to do with it.
Well,
But
hold on one second. Hold on one second. 'Cause last night, one of the kids did mention that I should be president.
Yep.
And my first response, because everyone looked at me, was that's probably a bad idea. Because I will admit, my first thought was
Put all the white people on reservations.
put them on boats
Okay.
and take them back to England, let the Queen deal with them.
Yeah. But not all of us came from England.
Okay,
And-
that's her problem, not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
But
back to Scotland.
you know, it's like going. There's
No,
been.
wait, I'm the vice president. I can't. Yeah. No.
Yeah. You know,
Don't
but
worry, Mary, you're safe.
that's part of it. The
too,
unconditional love and the unconditional forgiveness part, I think, is a big thing that we need to think about. We need to start caring about our people, all people.
But
and-
and that's the thing, though, Barry. It is easy to do. It's easier to do that on a global scale than it is on an individual scale. For example, when I see, when I talk about this, it is easier to forgive what happened and to talk about forgiveness than it is individually when I see someone doing something atrocious. I have
Yes.
problems on an individual scale with that forgiveness. That's the part we need to get to, where we can do
Right.
that as an individual,
Yes.
person
yes.
to person. We are nowhere near that, and we aren't going to be for a long time.
Right. And the purpose of, look at what's going on right now. Look at the gun sales.
Oh.
Look at
We
the
don't have-
look at
we
the
don't have
so
gun sales
so
right now.
so what is it? And it's great that you can go into Walmart and buy a gun, but you can't buy any ammunition for it there.
No, discountammo.com.
Yeah.
Our gun
Yeah.
stores
Well,
just got hit.
have you been to that site lately?
Skagit Arms,
Skagit Arms got hit with one of the fines.
non-compliance.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got anacortes.
And most of the stuff is on back order.
You
you
know
can't
what
get.
kills me, Barry? All these knuckleheads that stormed the gun shops. How many of them have actually used a gun?
That's what scares me. That's that's the part that bothers me.
I'm all about Second Amendment, but I'm also about gun education. Because how many
Yes.
shitheads are going to go out and I've got to defend myself, get my Second Amendment right? Where do you put the bullet?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's where we're at. That's what causes a civil war. That's what causes other people to react and say, well, I'm going to protect mine. Because it doesn't take a lot for a person to come out and go, hey, I'm going to kill
I'm more
5
about,
people today.
I'm more about pointy sticks than I am guns anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Joe's the master of the pointy stick. He's in the chat room. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, hey, Joe, how you doing?
But I think Joe would agree with me in that, yeah, amateurs buying guns and ammo. No.
Is it really buying guns and ammo after Armageddon, though, or are you just taking
that's what
them out of it? That's looting.
That's what creates Armageddon.
Yeah, you buy the guns before Armageddon, then you don't have to loot. Just saying.
You know what? You know what I think the biggest problem is, honestly, is that everybody is sitting there waiting for one damn person to fix all their problems for them.
Mm-hmm.
They are expecting somebody to take over, whoever they're expecting to take over. They're expecting somebody to take over, to come in, to hand them something, and to fix their problems for them. Well, when we can't even get along in a small community, when you don't even know who your neighbor is, when you have no idea about the people around you, how do you expect one person to come in and fix everything? It's not going to happen. You have to start with you.
Yeah.
Everybody has to look at themselves and start with themselves and fix themselves before they can expect other people to fix them.
Or fix your own community.
So true.
I know I said no last night, but I'll do it.
What, President?
Sure.
Okay.
You would be the most horrible president we have ever had. And I would be a hell of a bad first lady. Don't do it.
Oh, God. All the aliens come down.
Yeah.
We got Arnold running the national parks.
Yep.
But he's got to open all of them.
Yep.
Full
There
transparency.
you go.
Barry's going to be the Secretary of Defense.
But also, we turn Area 51 into a theme park.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, Barry, that's on you.
Hey, we
Okay,
cannot
got
just
it.
put a bunch of Palladians on view and be like, hey, come to the zoo.
And-
That's not right.
Oh, wait. Joe's,
See? Another,
hey, Joe's going to be the Secretary of the Army.
Damn right.
There you go.
Yes.
Pointy sticks for all tanks.
Oh, great. And I just get to be first lady.
Yep.
You guys get all these awesome jobs, and it's like, hey,
What are
just
you
look.
bitching about?
You just said one person can't fix all the problems. You're lucky you get to be
What are you
first lady.
bitching
Don't
about?
even.
Izzy's going to be second lady. So,
Whatever. I'm just going to stand there and look pretty and be like, hi, guys. That's
told
not
no,
cool.
you're taking care of the schools.
Oh, hell no. I don't
no.
want that issue. You don't
No kid deserves that.
You do not want me taking care of the schools.
Oh, hey, but we'd be the youngest ever president and vice.
That's true.
I mean,
Probably
hell,
still die at the same age, though.
we've got a 78-year-old president. What? Yeah, going in as president. No.
That's what I said. They went to ICU and picked a bed.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to make S4 the national radio show.
You want your
Coming
news?
to you live from the White House.
Live from the Situation Room.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're doing a radio show, it's from the Situation
We would
Room.
make Art Bell proud.
There is no other room in the White House that you can do that show from.
I'm sorry, but we seriously have to get the situation then to just lift up his shirt and be like, come in, talk about the situation every single time something happens.
Can you imagine S4 then? Okay, so coming to you live from the Situation Room, we see a whole fleet of UFOs coming over Antarctica. And wait, one just crashed. Okay, Joe, go ahead and scramble the army. We're going to go ahead and go over to Antarctica and pick up that UFO that just crashed in.
Don't worry about
Antarctica.
it, guys. They aren't bad guys. You saw nothing.
Oh no, screw that. Hey, America, there's UFOs over Antarctica. Look at them. Oh, wait. CNN, come over here.
Those aren't UFOs. Those are Northern Lights.
No. We're gonna be the government of transparency.
Oh God.
Hey, Pentagon, disclose all them files now.
That would be such a mess. That would be such a mess. Okay, I get it. Like, if you leave, like, one or two here and there and throughout the course of a couple of years, maybe the whole 4-year term, till you got it all out there, sure. But if you threw every single one of those up all at the same time, that would be such a disaster.
So we're going to build a new wall around the White House so that when all the Americans decide they want to storm the White House because we just closed all the secrets, we're safe.
So now we're not only keeping the Mexicans out, we're keeping everyone out.
Right?
Okay.
We're going to have to. All right, everybody to the bunker.
For someone who wasn't too keen on Trump's ideas, you sure adopted him pretty quick.
Joe will like this bunker much better than his. Yeah.
Depleted uranium tips? Jesus Christ, Joe.
Okay. Whoa. So, they will never be running for president.
No, we wouldn't be good.
You know, the biggest thing about it is that we have to, we do all have to come together at some point because it is the only way to survive through all of this terrible stuff. There's a lot of challenges ahead, and we don't know what's coming down the pike in the next thing. I mean, you talk about natural disasters and you talk about other things. That will change as that happens too. If we have a major disaster somewhere, what happens then? You know, there are a lot of different things that can happen, and
that's why the 2021 show is going to be interesting because a lot of shit can happen in the next 2.5 months.
But
yes, exactly.
The problem is,
I can't believe you just adopted that.
What?
Dude, it's November. Middle of November right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about Smarch.
Smart.
I added Smarch to the end of our calendar, and you just went right with it.
Okay. Yep. And Joe wants to take over Cheyenne Mountain for his new bunker.
Oh,
I'm
man.
okay with that.
You know, in order to get to that point, though, where everybody forgives everybody lives in Kumbaya world, you got to go through all the stages. It's like the stages of death, and you got to get through them before you can get to the other side of it.
You also get to the point where you're not sarcastically calling it Kumbaya world.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, you honestly, you have to just get past that point of sarcasm when it comes to any idea. Like, we talked about this last night, where we were talking about
virtual reality world,
talking about ways to actually turn this around. And Kayla is absolutely against any technological advances that would help.
Well, yeah, Terminator comes to mind.
No, not just Terminator. There's worse than Terminator out there. Trust me.
Okay. What's that movie?
What?
I, Robot.
Oh God.
The Law of Three.
Yep.
You don't need a robot to do the same thing you're capable of doing yourself.
McDonald's did. You have a robotic.
Well, be careful that AI is not already in play. You know, we worry about AI, but is not AI already doing things in our system? Because a computer is basically learning our every moves and what we like and dislike, is it not?
Well, it sure tells me what I want to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so AI is already here in a way, and they're studying us as the species, and they are controlling our own minds, and they have been able to do that for years. And again, it goes back to, when did it all start?
Yeah. Industrial Revolution.
Well,
yeah.
You know, we talk about how crap today is. Compare this to 1913. Spanish flu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spanish flu was just like we are today. It was a pandemic.
Yep.
And you have people fighting over whether or not they should constitutionally wear a mask. You had people saying it wasn't. It's not that bad. Look at the death rate. Yeah, I mean, you had.
But the problem is, and again, the things that brought them out of that one are not possible for us.
No, we can't go to war like that because our wars are now fought on a computer screen.
Well, like we were talking last night.
Yeah.
You know, everything comes to either an invention. Like we were talking about this last night. I mean, our discussions when we sit around could be a show.
Yeah,
could be
totally.
literally. But
it's
usually
either
it's usually an invention or it's a war, and we can't have another war.
But
we're still involved with the original war that we were fighting. So,
and a lot of people would fight the invention idea because the invention has to be radical.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. It has to be like a new revolution of...
The idea I did have, and it was just like a beginning of a thought form, was a virtual world where we continue our day-to-day basic life in a virtual world for the time being.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing now with Zoom meetings, except more advanced.
More advanced where you're actually... And this is the part I know a lot of our listeners specifically will have a problem with, an implant that allows you to enter that virtual world.
Your kids get in a school bus, they go to school, they have a real teacher.
Like taking over an actual avatar, like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
The movie itself, or any of those type of movies or TV shows like Upload, where you are actually taking over an avatar with your mind.
And the scary part, and it's scary to me, but is a lot of these TV shows and movies are based on some form of fact. So who's to say they don't already have that in play?
Well, the problem
through
is...
DARPA or one of these fringe companies.
Yeah, but like for that to work on a global scale, it has to be more advanced than we have right now.
You're talking one world government like we were talking last night.
Yes.
And that's not going to happen.
Well, there is a third option. It's a horrible option. It's a terrible thing, and I hope it never happens, but the other one is hitting the bottom of that barrel. Like, honestly...
And that is Civil War and Revolution.
That would be beyond that. That would be more like starting over from ground zero and working your way back up. I mean, it would be a horrible fucking thing to happen.
The name Snake, Gotta Smoke? Yeah, Escape from New York.
Uh-huh.
Road Warriors.
Oh, that's Joe, and that actually happened in 2021. That actually happened in 2021.
What, Mad Max?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't see it ever going to that point, but
that's what I'm saying. So it's invention, war, apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming down to the end, guys.
Oh shit! No,
of the
sorry.
show. Barry, where can we find Into the Fire?
Into the Fire you can find on Para House TV, also on Para House on YouTube at Para House / Para House TV. You can find it on parahouse.com / Into the Fire. So there's a lot of places to it. Coming up this week, we've got a special guest, a mystery guest called Only Onus. And he's going to relay some interesting stuff to us. Should be an interesting show. And then we're following up with the week after. We'll be doing the show with Patrick Jackson, the author of Quantum Paranormal, and that will be an interesting show also.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, next week we have American Witches. And we have Oberon Zell coming on.
Excellent.
One of the original elders from the 60s and 70s. So
Another thing that the Puritans have done.
Well, and that's,
Oh, yeah.
and that's kind of why we're going to American Witches for next week because, the Puritans did affect that.
They screwed up a lot.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, every religion and every thought is screwed up a lot.
Yeah, but that was really condensed and quickly. Like they did it in 100 years. They did a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
They did do a lot of damage in a short period of time.
Yeah.
What's
1600
with,
not a good place to live.
and not trying to go into next week's show, but yeah, even just talking about the Salem witch trials, none of those people were witches.
Well, here's what I'm wondering, though, about what we've kind of been talking about is how many times in history do you think that people have sat down like this and said, everything is so messed up, there can't possibly be a future from this point, like something of that nature.
Right.
This has got to have happened every single day for the last, since existence began,
Right.
by
Yeah,
somebody.
but we're not going to be the same as those people.
Imagine the first.
We're not the Roman Senate that sat down and said, "Hey, we should stab that guy."
Imagine.
At 2 Cornet.
But imagine the first eclipse. Oh my God. The sun.
Sure.
Right.
The sky is falling.
Oh, the world's coming to an end. The sun's gone. It's dark and it's only noon. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there it is.
I do have to say
Huh.
that probably wasn't in the microorganism's
Probably not.
thought process. 'Cause there was nothing other than them around when the first eclipse happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Mayans could have told you it was going to happen.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have got the date right.
No, but they did. Yeah. and maybe
They forgot
20
to carry the one.
And imagine if 2012 is really 2021.
Right.
You know what? You guys can just stop with that 2021 doomsday. Oh.
I'm right there with you, Joe. Joe says, "Damn English," because the Puritans were English.
Yeah.
So Arnold,
Yes,
this is our last show before Thanksgiving. You got anything you want to say to the listeners?
yeah. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Take care of one another, and be blessed.
Absolutely. And yeah, this was the Dark of Thanksgiving show, but moving on with tradition. Remember where this tradition came from, but at the same time, we've changed the negative history to a more positive one. In that, yes, this is when you be thankful for what you've got, and
Yes.
enjoy your family.
Mm-hmm.
Even weird Aunt Gertrude.
Yes.
'Cause, yeah, every Thanksgiving's got the weird family members that show up.
Don't look at me. God, I knew that was going to happen. Whatever, eat some turkey, get your gobbles on. Don't
Yeah.
drop your giblets. You'll
Barry,
be
you
fine.
got anything?
All I can say is have a very happy Thanksgiving, no matter what you believe your Creator to be. Thank Him for His generosity, and just enjoy yourselves to the fullest. Be civil and enjoy, and be thankful for everything that we do have, and that we are able to celebrate it at this time.
Absolutely.
Well, I was thinking you would have went last, but you already skipped ahead of our guests.
Oh, okay.
So did you. Don't even.
I don't care.
Well,
Joe, you got anything to say?
He says gobble.
Gobble.
He said gobble.
So I guess I'll finish it out with, ladies and gentlemen, I have spent the first at least hour and a half of this night lecturing you already. So instead, I'm going to tell you what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for my family, my friends, the fact that among this pandemic, I personally haven't lost anyone. I'm thankful for you guys as listeners. I've been with this show for 2 years now. and it is a big part of my life, and it wouldn't exist without you. In one way, you guys have all touched me, you perverts. Creepy uncle at Thanksgiving, so thank you for that, Joe. So thank you very much to all our listeners out there. Have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe. God damn it, stay safe.
Yes, stay safe.
We hope to see you for our Christmas shows coming up in December.
Yeah, and just remember, people, the wishbone is not to eat, it's to break apart. So if you try and swallow that, you will die.
And don't give it to your dog.
And they'll call it COVID. But yes, don't give bones to your dogs.
No.
God damn it.
No.
Right.
They'll die of COVID too.
Really? You made me lecture right at the last moment. You jackass.
Oh. So with that, yes, folks, stay safe. We'll see you next week for American Witches. And remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.